Welcome to the Last Drop Business Podcast, where we have the privilege of interviewing successful business owners who have maintained their sobriety. These entrepreneurs have achieved great success while staying sober, inspiring all of us to overcome challenges and to achieve our goals. So whether you're someone who is in recovery, an entrepreneur, or just someone looking for stories of hope, The Last Drop is your source of inspiration, motivation, and empowerment in the business place. I'm your host, Timo, and please join us as we celebrate The Last Drop, the moment where everything changes and the real journey begins. Welcome to The Last Drop Business Podcast, where we celebrate the incredible journeys of individuals who have embraced a sober lifestyle, found strength, resilience, and purpose in the process. I'm your host, Tim O'Connor. On today's episode, we have a 5-time cancer survivor who's also a recovering alcoholic. She has started a lifestyle blog tailored to women living a sober lifestyle, and her name is Sheri Matthews. Thank you for being here, Sheri. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. What you been up to this weekend? Doing anything fun?
Let's see. I'm obsessed with a couple PVOV, which is a workout routine, and so I do these live classes, which are a blast. And yeah, basically that's it. I like to cook. The Game Show Network is always on. I went from
That's awesome.
to Food Network for years to now it's Game Show Network.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's so fun. I don't know, I haven't found any good shows to watch lately, so I've been trying to just bounce around between different shows, and it's so hard to find good stuff on TV nowadays. I don't even know what to watch,
Yeah, there's too many options. It's
there is.
Yeah, so I'm always okay, I'll just put on Game Show Network and just roll with it.
That's awesome. So yeah, basically let's just get into it. I'm just going to ask you a series of questions about your life. We're going to kind of start from the beginning, go to where you're at now. And basically the first one is, what events led you to drinking and or using substances? If you just want to give a breakdown of kind of what life was and, how you got into getting into your addiction or alcoholism.
I mean, it all started, in high school. I loved to party, so I'd say around, 16. And, as time went on, you just kind of go through school, drinking, smoking pot, all of that fun stuff. But even as I got older and I got into my 20s and just working in, a corporate environment, it's I never had, trauma in the past. I mean, I had a great childhood. I was raised by my dad, my parents divorced when I was young. So I was a military kid. So I honestly loved structure. I love structure. I love routine. So, even with partying for me, it was my way to decompress, my way to just check out, because I've always been very outgoing. I spent majority of my, 20s and 30s in sales. So when you're always around people constantly, you're always talking. For me to have that separation and, just to do my thing, I loved it. So as much as I could go into social settings and drink and have a good time, I loved to drink and party by myself just as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Company. I'm fucking
I totally agree. And it's being in sales and being around people all the time. I remember it was so easy just to go and party with people. And once you get into sales and you start talking to people, it's so easy just to be this is just part of it. This is who I am. This is what I do. And I remember for me, it was partying was who I was. For me, it's I was the party guy. And if you want to go have a good time, you go hang out with Tim, and I didn't realize how much how negatively it was affecting my life, and it was I always thought oh, I'm making such a good impression on these people, when really it was all right, we're going to talk to this dude once and that's it,
That's so true. I mean, and it's like anything else. I mean, as we go through our phases, our 20s and things, felt one way, and, you get the excitement and the vibe, and then you get into your 30s and it's you shift how you party. And then it wasn't really until I got into my 40s and it was like it started to lose the excitement, it started to lose the fun, but then that's when my addiction really got deep. And I would say, like, I mean, I'm 48, I'll be 49 in July, and it's really been this past, 10 years that that's been the struggle bus part of it.
For
You know,
sure. When did you get sober?
well, this most recent time, I will be sober 1 year, February 15th.
Oh
So
yeah. Congratulations. That's
thank you,
awesome.
thank you. I'm super
Congratulations.
excited. Yeah, I'm like,
Did
huh,
Yeah. Yeah. Have you so it's been like taking you a couple of times. Did you try and get sober previously in the past?
multiple times. And then I had done treatment, inpatient, outpatient. I tried it on
Mm,
my own, AA, and I'm not one to blame any program or anything, because I truly believe, we all get sober in our own way in what resonates with us. I just wasn't ready. And I mean, I would have periods of, almost a year, and then, something in my life would just affect me in a certain way, and it would just be my crutch. It was always my crutch, my fault, like it was
mm,
easy to go right back into the groove. And even when you're
yeah.
feeling good and all of the great stuff that comes along with sobriety, it's just it takes that one thing to trigger you. And that's why even today it's like I never take it for granted. When people get sober,
Mm,
you'll hear them say a lot of times, like, "Oh, I'll never drink again," or "I'll never use again." I never use those words. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Because there's still that part of me that, as much as I hate it and despise it, and it, destroyed a lot of things in my life, there's still a part of me that loves it. And I will
Yes.
vicariously live through my 21-year-old Sheri any freaking time.
Mhm. Yeah, and like in my mind, it's so weird because I found so much comfort in partying and doing drugs, and like I just found so much comfort in that alternate lifestyle because like it got to the point where I was so comfortable with that lifestyle to where I was just like, this is where my safe space is. Like, I don't need to deal with my problems. I don't need to deal with my emotions. Like, I'm just gonna keep partying and not like worry about that stuff. And that's like why partying was such a big deal for me because it like that's what became my safe space. And it's like as long as I was partying and having a good time and like putting the mask on, like I was okay and everything was cool, you know? And it's just now that I've been clean for such, like 3 years and a couple of months, and it's just like I still find like that feeling of like if, it's terrifying because I'm like if I go back and it's like if I decide, oh, I'm going to go party or whatever, like that feeling of comfort is still there and that terrifies me because I'm like anytime I get uncomfortable, a lot of times the first thing that comes to my mind is like I want to go use, I want to go party, I want to go do some crazy shit that's going to make me not feel these feelings that I'm feeling, And it terrifies me. And it's like, that's why I have to stay on top of my shit all the time, Because like the minute I start slipping back and start thinking that, like, oh, maybe going and getting a drink is a good idea, or maybe going and getting some drugs is a good idea, that's like, terrifying for me because it's just like it's still there. It's not like it's going away or it has gone away. It's like I don't feel like I have to use or need to use or drink anything today, but at the same time, it's like I know that it's right there, and like if I want to, I can go back to that shit, but it's like I don't want to, and it's just terrifying. And it's this uncomfortability, right? And so like what do you do to like find some freedom and some comfort in your life today?
I mean, I just I think, for one thing, I mean, for me personally, age has a lot to do with it now.
Mhm.
Um, and just not wanting to feel, the ways that I felt in the past. I've been, my boyfriend and I, we've been together 21 years. It's like
Mhm.
there's so many factors that now, mean a lot more to me than being in that space of partying and everything. Because
Yeah.
2022, for me, I just, I had spent like 2020, 2021, like my cancer came back. I had
Mhm.
surgery, and then it came back again in 2021, and I had another surgery, and then I got a staph infection the beginning of 2023, and I
Oh.
was back in the hospital. It was all of this stuff, and I was on crazy antibiotics, and I felt like I was going insane for real. And I just like if this is how I'm going out, like, I'm going out my way, and that's when I relapsed again, and I was
Got
just,
it.
"See you later, everybody." I mean, I like to binge drink. I mean, I was out drinking and partying and not coming home for 3 days at a time, and,
Wow.
it's like, I'm grateful to have someone that's been in my life for as long as, Matt has, because, he could always filter, he can see the good stuff in me, as
Mhm.
much shitty stuff as I did, and, uh,
Yeah.
it's just, he knows who I am, and I just, like, I just was in self-destruct mode.
Mm.
I mean, I'm
Totally.
grateful to be here, but I'm like, "Damn, like, I can consume some stuff and still not freaking die,"
Totally. Yeah, and it's amazing that, like, I don't know, everyone that I've talked to on this podcast so far has said something along the lines of, it's like, it is amazing that none of us have died. Like, because it's like, either, I drove drunk all the time. I drove high all the time. I was doing dumb stuff all the time that put my life at risk, and like others' lives at risk as well. And crazy enough, today, like, I feel worse about people around me, like, I
Yeah,
feel like my life is, yeah, my life, it's all good, but like, I'm terrified that, like, I could have killed a family or could have killed whoever when I was driving drunk. And it's just like, I'm amazed that I didn't, and I didn't, die in the process. And it's just like, I really try to push to a lot of people nowadays, like, it is life or death. No matter how, bad you think you have it, like, you could have that one time where you push it too far and then you go roll your car when you're drunk. And it's like, and that could put you in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. And it's like, um, a lot of people nowadays that are, have hit me up on Instagram and that are saying like, oh yeah, I have a problem with drugs and alcohol. And like some kids' comments that I see on social media, it's like, it's like they don't understand that yet. And unfortunately, it's like they have to get to that moment of, oh my god, dude, like, I'm going to jail, or I have to go to rehab because I got in trouble with the cops or whatever. And so I just kind of wanted to know, like, what was your, so was like, after your cancer diagnosis and you decided to like go crazy and party, like, what was like your last drop moment? Like, what brought you to the end of your, like, yo, I'm gonna get sober again?
I mean, it was just, like, I mean, I was, like, physically getting sick on top of, like, just
Yeah.
shakes every morning, like, I had to drink in the morning, it was just, like, I just couldn't function, and then especially with binge drinking and being up all night, it's like, I mean, it's crazy. Like every Uber driver, I feel like in my area knew me. They'd be picking me up at like picking me up at my house
Totally.
at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, dropping me off at this place, this place. I mean, sometimes it'd be 3 in the morning, and like some of them that would have saw me like a couple days before, they're like, "Sheri, why aren't you home yet?" I'm like, "I'm paying you to fucking lecture me. You're supposed to take me to XYZ." It's like,
Totally. Totally.
but it was just, I mean, I was physically ill. Like I knew for myself that I had to get help. And I
Yeah.
couldn't do it on my own. I had to medically detox, and I'm so
Mhm.
grateful I did.
Mm.
Because it was just, I mean, it was just to the extreme, it was that bad. And then um and I just, you just get tired of your own garbage. It's like, I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I even doing? Like I'm out at places, and my boyfriend's been sober 12 years. And so I flew solo all the time. I'm like all around town in Ubers by myself because I like
Yeah.
to go and this and that.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, going places, going to parties with people like I had just met, and I'm like, it's like morning time, and like, where am I? And who are these
Yeah.
people? I mean,
Mm.
I'm like, and I would think to myself, you're not in your teens anymore. You're not in your 20s. Like,
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, for sure.
you know what I mean? So
Mhm. Yeah. So
it
how,
was too much.
yeah, for sure. No, that's, yeah, that's amazing for sure. So when was the first time you were diagnosed with cancer?
It was December 2016. And I had just lost my mom the year before, October 2015, to cancer. And it was just so weird that, a year later, it's like all this stuff started to happen. And we didn't have the best relationship. And And I didn't get a lot of time with her before she passed. It was very quick when hers came back, and so it was just weird. I'm like, is this like what did I do to you? Like I thought we made amends when you were in hospice. You know what I mean? I'm like, what did
Yeah.
so it was
Oh,
December 2016. And
okay.
and then it's just from then on, it's just been, you know, it's just done its thing.
Got you. What kind of cancer?
It's actually tumor based. So it started in my
Okay.
small intestine, it went to my abdomen, and then the past 3 times that I've had it, it's been on my liver. So, like, I've had a portion
Oh,
of my right liver removed. I mean, good thing the liver, regenerates and grows back, but
yeah.
I mean, my liver is j it's it's taking a lot of abuse. I mean, I have it back again, and we're just monitoring it, and I do monthly injections and stuff for it, but,
Wow.
even with that, I mean, I would still, like, have my sober periods before having surgery and recovery, and get that 6, 7, 8 months, and then I'm like, "Nope, I'm good, like, I'm going back out."
Hmm.
I find
Yeah.
you just get tired of like, not feeling good all the time, and I'm a very positive person, and even through all of this stuff the past 7 years, I do have people comment all the time. They're just like, "How did you stay so positive and this and that?" But really, there was
Hmm.
a part of me that was like, you know, slowly crumbling inside, hence my struggle with addiction. It was
Yeah.
just one thing that I could take and just be like, "I don't need anybody else, like, I've got this."
Hmm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah. And like that's crazy because my wife, she had cancer in her lower intestine. And so, these past, couple of years, it's just been like one thing and another with that. And it's like it's hard, going through that process of like surgery and going to the hospital and it's like hard because as a bystander all I can do is witness what is happening, and it's like it's helped me develop a lot of empathy because it's like I need to understand what you're going through and how you're going through it and what I can do to show up for you. And it's just like it's definitely difficult. And even with like and bless her heart, she like told the doctors like I don't want any painkillers, like I don't need any of this, and they're like all right, here's some Tylenol. And her first major surgery she had, she got through with only Tylenol and like only a small amount of I think they did like an epidural in her lower abdomen and stuff, and so it was numbed up, but it was like she didn't get any painkillers. And it was like she even told me like I'm doing this so I don't have to bring home painkillers because like I love everything and you bring home painkillers. And I'm like, better fucking watch out where you put those because I don't want to see them. I don't want to know where those are. And it's crazy. And I feel like a lot of people that are affected by cancer, I've heard of a lot of people that, or any sort of medical stuff, they go to the hospital, they come back, they have pills and X, Y, and Z, and it like opens up the doors after their recovery. Because I've heard of people that get really comfortable just taking opiates, and it's like, and their life they can't do anything without it. And it's like then you get hooked on it and you become an addict, and it's like now instead of opiates, I need to go find some heroin or some fentanyl because like the opiates aren't working anymore. And it's like I've had a couple of friends that have gone through that, and it's crazy that we go through medical procedures to try and help us, and we come out the other side and it's just like look what happens. And it's sad, it's terrifying for sure.
Definitely. And I think the sad thing is, that happens to a lot of people who don't have the addiction background,
Yes.
but the thing for like your wife and then even for myself, I mean, you know, I knew being in the hospital, I would be on strong pain meds and coming home, you'd get that little bit of oxy and then they would give you mainly Tylenol. But once I could get home a few days and the pain would subside enough because you can't be in that excruciating pain, then your body won't heal. But I could
Hmm.
always find a balance with it because I knew like this is it, and then just take the Tylenol. But not everybody is like that, like you said. But I do find
Yeah.
it sad when you have people that just have no addiction past, and then they do
Mhm.
have some type of surgery and come home, and that you do kind of thrive on that feeling,
Yeah.
which is the shame. But I mean, I don't know. It's like big pharma, there's always a way for them to like to
Mm.
like suck you in somehow, right?
And it's yeah, and I mean for me it's like I started by taking like my dog's painkillers cuz I had like a back injury and Tylenol wasn't working and then my dog had like a surgery and I stole that shit from my dog and I was like, "Well, I'm going to take some of these." And it started doing something for me and I was like, I need to find more of this. And then that like opened the door for so many things. And like on top of that, it was also like alcohol because I used alcohol to numb because I didn't want to like be with who I was and I didn't want to deal with my shit. And I was like, I'm a lot more fun when I'm wasted, so I'm just gonna get drunk all the time. And that's what I did. And it's terrifying and I just like I look at my past life and I was just thinking about this the other night of like there's a big portion of the last like 10, 15 years that are just like I can only remember so many spots. Like, oh, it's just like little kind of pinholes of like this is what happened on this day that one time. And it's like negative things. It's like I remember when I got arrested and I remember when I went to jail a couple of times, but other than that, like you don't remember the good times, like all the good times just blurred into one thing. And now it's like I feel like today so many people are like, oh, live for the good times, go out and have a good old party and go have fun. It's like, dude, it's so pointless. Like, I don't even like, why do people even think about that? But like, so like after you got sober this last time, so you started a small business or what is your small business?
So I mean, I co-create with a brand called Savvy. So I've been a yoga teacher 15 years and I've had,
Okay.
I had my yoga business and then when COVID happened, that shifted things, but then I had gotten sick as well. So
Okay.
this year I will go back to teaching and building out my online platform again, which I'm super excited about because I mean yoga's been my passion for gosh, 25 years and I've taught it 15
Oh,
and
wow.
I mean I absolutely love it and then I'm also I also build my other business, which is with a company called Savvy, and it's a lifestyle brand. And I couldn't have found like a better company to just be a part of. I swear, it's like, you know, reading the manual, and I'm like, God, did I write that? I mean, it's like so in line with my intentions, and
That's awesome.
yeah, and I mean, so I'm so grateful. I love everything that it's about and what it does for, people. I love the motto, look good, feel good, do good, because really at the end of
Mm,
the day, that's all that we want. If we
yeah.
look good in what we're wearing and like, what we're putting in our bodies, we feel good. And when we feel
Hmm.
good, you just automatically want to do good. You want to show up in the world, a positive light because we're always going to have things that trip us up and we're always going to have the highs and the lows, good and bad. But I always try to tell people like that's you get stronger. Like anything that like I'm never a why me. I don't have a victim mentality. I never have. I never will.
Mm,
Because I don't think like that's just not things that happen to us. They happen to us for a reason. We will make it out the other
yeah.
side and then it just builds wisdom and it builds strength and it builds integrity and
Mm,
it just makes us who we are, and that's the
love
cool
that.
thing about it. Like I'm like I can't be around people that are vanilla pudding. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
like that have no substance. Like I want,
Mm,
I want
yeah.
some dirt and some trash talking and it's like just
Yes.
real stuff, like real life shit. Everybody just they really do try to sugarcoat because for whatever reason, I don't know. I don't get it. I mean,
Yeah. And
I
it's so yeah, and I mean I totally feel that because there's a lot of people that I've met before that it's like say life's so good and it's like everything's cool and everything's fine and then like oh someone in their families die and it's just like oh everything's still good everything's cool. It's like dude, show some emotion. Like, who are you? How are you feeling right now? And I feel like it's with this whole like sober movement that's going on and so many people getting sober, it's also great because I feel like a lot of people, it's going to force them to get in touch with their emotions. It's going to
Mhm.
force them to like take off the mask and be like, this is who I truly am as a human. And it's like, I love that because feel like drugs and alcohol just, it made me like put on a cloak and be like, yo, this is who I am when I'm fucked up. And like, and that's who I was for a long, long time. And a lot of people only know me as that guy. And today I'm like a completely different person. And it's like, it's great because by getting sober and getting clean, like I have been able to truly discover like who I am as a person and like how I can like express myself even better. And it's a beautiful thing that, sobriety kind of brings out the best in people, you know?
Absolutely. Because even last year before I got sober this last time, it like I said, like, when I got into my 40s, just the way that I felt when I was drinking was different, having
Mm,
blackouts. I could be out, like, and be, say I'm out for a day and then be in my groove, and it's almost like I would black out in the moment when I was out, and then I would, like, keep going. I could keep functioning. It was just the weirdest thing, and
that's wild.
know, but blackouts in general got worse, like, losing, like, periods of time. I mean, just, that's probably just lack of sleep and everything. But,
Yeah.
like you were saying with the sober movement, not everybody has to have a rock bottom. And we're seeing more of that now.
No.
Not everybody has an addiction. Just the fact that people are finally realizing it is horrible for us. It doesn't serve any purpose. It's not
Yeah.
fun. And again, I have to be, in all fairness, I have to say, was it fun in my 20s and in my early 30s? Absolutely. Like, did I
Yes.
live, been to some of the greatest parties ever. I've met some of the coolest friggin' people
Hmm.
ever. And those are times that, like, I will never forget those times. But I do think as you start to get older and life starts to shift, that's when the fun stops. Like,
Yeah.
that's when the energy changes. We have different responsibilities,
Yeah.
and it turned me into an asshole, like,
Hmm. Me
I just
too.
like, I had a chip on my shoulder all the time, like everybody
Mhm.
owed me something,
Yeah. And like I just always thought that I was just gonna be like the fun college party guy. Like I got out of college and I moved back to my hometown and I like lived with my parents while I was like trying to get off the ground. And I just remember I was like, I just wanted the college party to like continue, you know? And for me it did, and I just kept thinking like, oh, I'm the fun college party guy, and then that like went from, okay, drinking a couple beers and a little bit of like alcohol isn't enough, and then it was like, all right, let's do some harder drugs, let's go find some other stuff because this alcohol like isn't really working for me that much anymore, and like it turned very ugly very quick. And it's just like you said, like, your bottom is where you stop digging. And it's like I for me I had to dig pretty deep. I had to dig to the point to where, yeah, like I was getting arrested and I was having to get, fucked up every day, and I was like waking up and having to like use just to go back to sleep, and it was like that's how it was for me. I was like, yeah, waking up in the middle of the night, take a couple of shots, do some other drugs, and like I'd go back to sleep. And it's like that was a nightly thing. At the end, it was like every single night. And it was terrifying, and I'm grateful today for where I'm at because it's just like, I know I have a choice today, and I know that like no matter what, no matter how bad life gets, like I don't have to do that. Like I don't have to go get a drink today. I don't have to go get drugs today. Like it's a choice for me, and for me that choice is to like the minute I pick up a drink is the minute that I'm going to go find some drugs and probably die, and it's just like people don't know what they're taking nowadays, and that terrifies me. I'm like, dude, like you could have a 20-year-old kid just being like, I'm going to go do this, and it's like got fentanyl in it and it kills them, and it's like it could have just been prevented by like a little bit of knowledge and a little education. I feel like that's what I'm really trying to do with this podcast, is just help educate people to show that like, yeah, maybe like right now the grass doesn't look greener on the other side and you're enjoying partying, but at least like if you hear this, like maybe life is going to be okay sober. All these people seem to have their shit together and they seem to have a decent life, like maybe it's going to be okay, and I just think it's so, just great being clean today and being sober today. And so like when you were kind of in the end, did you like how did drinking affect your relationships, like with your boyfriend, with your family?
Oh, my my family's in Florida, so, and I'm in Virginia, so they didn't really have to see a lot of it. But it was definitely with Matt. He's the one who, I like I said, in the 2022, it did get really bad, and that's when I had to realize, I'm like, I have to make a choice because what I was just putting him through, it was so unfair and so out of character. I mean, like, I
Mm,
think of all the great stuff that he's done for me, over 20 years in general, but even just the past 7 when I have been sick and stuff like that. I mean, that was well, not only I mean, I did it for myself first because I am from the school of thought, and it's my opinion, like, if you're not getting sober for yourself,
yeah.
even though everybody else will benefit, it's just not going to work. Like,
No.
I was ready, but I mean, it was really unfair what I was doing to him, and even just having, dogs. I mean, we don't have kids, but your dog, like, he works a lot of hours. And so, I'm leaving my dogs home for, hours at a time. Like, they're not getting
Yes.
fed at their normal time, it's just, and it just starts to really make you feel like a horrible person. And by nature that, but you
Yeah.
can't help it. You get sucked in that little rabbit hole of being selfish. I mean,
Mm.
I mean, I don't know, drugs and alcohol just made me very selfish, like, it was me, 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 me,
Mhm.
and and
Yeah.
I don't wanna be that way. Back to what you were saying before, though, it is really cool, though, that even now with, the whole, like, festivals and, like, the club vibe, which, I mean, I grew up a club kid in Florida. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
go to that stuff anymore, but I love now that they've got sober tents and you've got DJs that are, sober, and so you do have a lot of these, um, a lot of people that are in the realm of that when it comes to that big party scene that are getting sober and talking about sobriety, which is
Yeah.
awesome because I think that's going to be a big movement, for the younger generation.
Yes.
Read an article saying that, like, the whole Gen Z generation, like, that drinking's not their thing, that not that they
That's
don't
so
like
wild.
Uber Eats and all of that stuff, but just the drinking, that's not where they spend their money. So that's, kinda refreshing to hear.
That is, yeah, and it's great. A couple years ago, I remember being at a concert and seeing people with like sober section signs, and I just like think that's so cool because growing up, like, yeah, I loved going to like punk shows and hardcore shows, and like I went to my like rave every once in a while, and went to the club every once in a while, and I also DJ'd for a good minute, and so like it's so cool hearing that like that exposure is out there because it's like when I was out there doing my thing, I was like, dude, everyone else is partying. I want to be a part of this crowd. Like, I want to be a part of the cool crowd and I want to be like having a good time and feeling good. And it's cool that now there's like the sober crowd out there because it kind of shows people like we're here having fun too and we're not doing anything. Like, we're just here. And that's like my favorite part about going to a show or a concert now is like, I love being able to like immerse myself into a show and be like fully aware and fully like zoning in with the band or the DJ or whatever and like leave the show and remember it and like the next day be like that was great. And it's just cool because I think it's like when people realize that like you don't need drugs and alcohol to have fun and like there's still that stigma. And for me in high school in like 2004 through 2008, it was a lot of like everyone was partying. If you weren't like doing, if you weren't smoking weed and drinking on the weekend with the cool kids, like you were nobody. And so it's just like that is the like, nowadays it's cool because if Gen Z is like, yo, we're doing other things with our life and we're not partying and we're not spending our money on that. It's cool because then it's like sobriety is just going to be like a normal thing. It's going to be normal to be sober, which is like back in the day being in that crowd, I was like, dude, if you're sober, you're square. Like, if you're sober, you're not having fun. And it's like such an ass backwards thing to think about because like it was like the other way around. Like, man, maybe if you were sober and enjoying these moments with these people and having good wholehearted conversation and time together, like you would have a better experience. And like, I was talking to my wife about this the other night, and it's like I don't remember a lot in my 20s and my teenage years. And it sucks because I know I had a lot of good times, but like I wish I would have remembered those times. And like, and it's like, shit, man, if I wouldn't have been like high or drunk, I might have remembered those times. And it's just like, it's kind of a bummer because now I'm in like my 30s and I'm like, I see glimpses every once in a while, but it's not like full on memories where it's kind of a bummer where I'm kind of resentful. Like, I wish I wouldn't have been drunk or wouldn't have been stoned during that time. And would remember that time with my friends and my family or whatever else, and it's just really cool that Gen Z is kind of coming around to the idea that like you don't have to party, you don't have to drink, and that's just it's awesome in my mind. I just think that's great.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, what communities are you involved with that help you stay sober today?
Well, I mean, honestly, Instagram is amazing. I mean, I've met so many great sober people since getting sober again and just connecting with those people. So it really is incredible how impactful, you know, s- this aspect of social media is.
Yeah.
Uh, when because I went, I went to rehab last year, and then when I got out, I was doing outpatient treatment at a place here called Recovery Unplugged, which I'm sure a lot of people know of them online.
Oh
They're
yeah.
they're amazing, and it was so great. I mean, honestly, I have to give huge kudos to that place. Like, I think that's what definitely helped me stay sober and just get on the right track. And now, I mean, I don't go to I mean, once in a blue moon, I'll go to a meeting. I don't go to meetings regularly. Um,
Sure.
I don't know, I became a homebody. I mean, it's like
Yeah, me
in the
too. Me too.
house, I'm like, "I have to do what?" Like, I have to drive somewhere? Like, so I just, I love to read, and I always like I'm always reading one kind of personal development, and then I'm always reading some type of thriller. So that's kind of my balance, but I,
Nice.
I just stay home. Honestly, I stay home.
That's awesome. Do you do a lot of yoga in your spare time, or how do you teach? Do you teach online? Do you
I will be. So I'm in the process now of building out like classes again on my online platform. But yeah, like I love to do
Cool.
yoga, and I'm actually doing a bar certification right now. So physical activity is my total jam. I've loved it my whole entire life. And I always say, like, well, it's one of the best things for recovery, but here's the tip for people. Like, stop doing shit you don't like. Like, I don't like to go to a gym, so I'm not going to get a gym membership and try to commit to something because I don't like it. Like,
Mm, I
find
love
things
that.
you like, whether it's yoga, hiking, riding your bike. When you are doing something that you like, that's physical activity, then it's fun. Then it's not like, oh, I have to go do this. So
Yeah.
I love being outdoors. So I just do things like that I love. And I mean, that keeps me consistent.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's super awesome. Do you have other like sober friends that you go and like go hiking with or go do yoga with?
I mean, I mean, well, I would say, like, do I have any most of my friends still drink. So even when I go out, I mean, now it's like if I go out with my girlfriends and all that, we meet for dinner and
Mhm.
lunch or whatever. And if they drink, it doesn't bother me. Like, I'll have an NA beer or whatever if they
Yeah.
have it. But that never even bothered me in the beginning. So
Mm.
yeah, most of the time when I go out and do things with my friends, they still like to have a glass of wine or something like that, and that's totally cool. If it bothered me, then I wouldn't do it till I felt comfortable, but it
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me one bit. But yeah, I don't know. The homebody thing blows my mind. I was even telling Matt the other day, I'm like, I can't believe, like, to honestly, like, get dressed and like put on makeup and shit. I'm like, this is a lot of work.
Yeah, for sure.
Digging in the dirt and stuff, you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
like
Yeah, 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 definitely. And it's I'm the same way, like I will leave my house to go do the things I need to do, like yeah, go to meetings, go get groceries and like go out to dinner every once in a while. And that's like the extent of it, because it's like and it's sometimes it's hard to go to events and stuff and it's like if I really really want to go do something I'll go do it, kind of just like what you're saying. And I go to the gym, I've started going to the gym a little bit more because I realized that like I need more physical activity than like what I'm getting. And like, so I've been going to the gym a lot, and the gym really has been helping me out just because it's like, it's a way to like burn some stress, get the blood flowing. It's like sometimes I need like that little bit of pain in my muscles to remind me that, like, wow, there's this thing called pain that you have to deal with. And like, it's nice because it's a good reminder too. And it's like when I was out using and I was out partying, like I would try to go to the gym and it would be like once a year. And now I was like, oh yeah, I'm in shape. I'm fine. I'll do a couple push-ups every once in a while and I'll be good. And now it's like I'm going to the gym like, a couple times a week and I'm like, dude, this is like crazy. You have to put in so much work in the gym and like to get, in good shape. And it's a good like reminder for me that like I have to put in the work to like feel good in my body, and it's kind of goes back to what you were saying. It's like if you're not feeling good about something with yourself, like change it. Like you have the choice to change what you're doing with your life today. And it's like, um, I try to tell, my friends and like my other peers this in recovery. And it's just like, yeah, like it's so important to realize that like we have a choice today. Like I can wake up and I have all these decisions I can make, and it's like I have to figure out what are the best choices for me. Because, if I'm going to be doing something to go appease some other people or make some other people feel good, it's probably not going to make me feel that good. So I need to like make decisions that are good for me because, my mental today, I have to like I got to keep a good mental like playing field today because if I don't have a good mental playing field, then it just kind of puts me that much closer to like where I was and what I was doing. And like, that's not where I want to be with my life.
Absolutely. I mean, and I mean, and I always try, try to think that, the fact that we wake up every day and that we can get out of bed and we can just stretch and we have the ability to move our body is so powerful. And, we do take things like simple things like that for granted because we
Yeah.
can do it, and it's not until, like, I think about like all the times, like having surgeries, having to heal, having to recover, and like,
Yeah.
losing my strength all over again, and like losing, having to gain my balance back. It's like I I never take, I mean, especially just physical movement. I just never, ever, ever take it for granted, because
Totally.
it's just so important. It's so important.
Yeah. How do you deal with hardships today? Like when you're like if you have to go and have another surgery or like when you had your surgeries and you were sober or if like, even just today, like if you come across a hardship where you're trying to like rebuild your body or like, make like another achievement in whatever you're doing with yoga or building your classes and even hardships with your relationship, like being sober, like how do you deal with those? What do you do to go through and like address your hardships?
I mean, so it's funny. Like I was saying, I've done, I've yoga's just been a part of my life for 25 plus years. And I mean, I'm a certified yoga therapist and all of that. And yoga for recovery was, a big part of my business back in the day when I would teach. But when I wasn't living authentically in my life, I had to cut that out because there was just always something to be said. I'm not going to go and try to share something and guide someone or people and teach something that when I'm not even, practicing what
Practicing it? Yeah.
and it's interesting, like there was times in the past when I would do, I would go for treatment and I would do outpatient treatment and I would have these therapists say, you know, like if I would do like a holistic care program and they're doing meditation and journaling and yoga and breathing and all this and they're like, how do you think that we're going to be able to help you when you've been doing all of this and you have all of these skills? And I'm thinking, well, that's what I'm fucking paying you for. Like obviously, I'm not using them, so can I have a little bit of the therapy side?
Yeah. Yeah.
It would fall so flat, and I'm like, "Okay, then maybe I'm fine." You know what I mean? And it's like, it wouldn't last, and I would just be like, I'd go back to my old habits, so that got that got
Yeah.
annoying, but I have been very grateful to build a spiritual toolbox over the years, and I think
Mhm.
that, we all should have one, whatever that might be. Faith can be a part of it, movement should be a part of it, meditation,
Yeah.
breathing,
Yes.
the breathing in general, like we don't
Breath
realize
work.
we go through our life with shallow breath. We don't pant like a dog, but we don't sit there when we're, driving in the car and be like, take these long breaths. I mean,
Mhm.
everything is like go, 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 go. It's how we
Yeah.
live our life, it's how our brain functions. So just taking time to slow down and breathe is like one of the best tools for anxiety or frustration. I mean, all of that. So I carry my little spiritual toolbox and I just dip into it when I need to,
Mm.
and
Do
I
you
think
meditate a lot?
I've had a meditation practice for,
Me too.
over 15 years. It's huge.
That's awesome. That's
It's
how does meditation help you? Like, what does it help you with?
it just I mean, it just allows me to just to get centered and grounded, and and the thing is with meditation, when people, they'll always say like, I can't quiet the mind. It's not like you're going to sit there if you're new to it and not have any thoughts. The thing is,
Yeah, exactly.
thoughts will weave, but it's you don't want to be saying I need to go get eggs and milk. That's not the thoughts, but you do have these like thoughts that'll weave in and out, and I always love to keep a little notebook next to me, because sometimes like that's where your
Mm,
most like, artistic, or just like inspirational thoughts come about when you're sitting in meditation. I mean,
yeah, that's
it's
great.
so amazing.
That's yeah, no, that's awesome. And I mean, recently for me, like the past probably like 2 years ago, I really started meditating a lot when my wife was going through her cancer stuff because I was listening to a lot of meditation books and I was like, dude, my mind is just overwhelmed, and like feel like in today's culture, it is like go, 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 go. And there's like, so many things that people have to take care of. And it's like life and emotions on top of like work and family and like all of the little things, And for me, like, I found that even just meditating for like a minute or two to start, like, because when I first started, I was told just to, sit for a couple of minutes, breathe, do some deep breathing for a couple of minutes. And even if you only get like a minute in, it's all good. Do it again the next day. And so I've really started that practice. And now, like, when I'm driving somewhere, it's like a 5-10 minute drive. I'll sit there with my mala and just like be pulling my mala and just like taking breaths, like deep breaths while I'm driving. And I'll arrive at my destination and be like, dude, I'm so at peace right now. Like, I feel so like peaceful with everything because like I've cleared my mind. And it's crazy like how some deep breathing and just acknowledging that like, oh, I had this thought. And then it's like a lot of times I'm just like, hi thought, and then it goes away, And it's like it doesn't sit and stew anymore when it's like, and I always try and tell people who are asking me about meditation that like it's a practice. Like you're not just gonna be amazing at meditation right off of the bat. Like you have to practice it. And it's like sometimes that practice is painful. Like so many times in the beginning, and even like sometimes nowadays, like I sit there and I try and meditate, and I'm like, oh my God, just shut up, like trying to turn my brain off. And it's hard not to turn it off. And then finally it's like I'll find the groove and then I'll get centered and I'll do what I need to do to get centered. And it's just like it's amazing what a little bit of breath work can do with one's in for one's day, And like I cannot take anxiety meds. I've definitely been diagnosed as ADHD and I'm like I'm not taking that shit cuz I just feel like it's another chemical substance that's trying to like rewire my pathways. And I'm like, dude, I just can't like have that feeling of something controlling my mind, And like the last thing I want is like an upper trying to like tell me like, do this, be a robot, And it's like I've found so much relief with meditation just from a little bit of breathing every day and just like going and taking a 10-minute walk outside and like putting my phone down and like not calling people back, or like if someone's calling me and I'm in the middle of this, I'm not going to pick it up. I'm not going to pick up a text message. Like I have to spend time with myself in deep breathing and like, kind of turn everything off in order for me to like get a good center and a good like grasp on the day. And a lot of times if I don't do that, my day is like a tornado, And I lay my head down at night and I'm just like fried. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck just happened? And so meditation for me today is like, it's so powerful. And, for people listening, if you're listening in, like, practice some meditation if you're having some anxiety and some, other stuff going on. It's helped me and it's definitely helped a lot of other people with shit like that?
Absolutely. And I just and like and even just sobriety in general, it's just allowed me to be so much more present, and it's like I've just allowed time to slow down. I'm no longer, got to do this, got to do this, got to check the box, the to-do list.
Yes.
I've allowed myself to be in this like state of calm and be present, and
Hmm?
and when things do arise, I'm not reactive to it, like I would be
Yeah.
in the past. It's just I don't
Yes.
know. And I'm not saying life's gravy train. I mean, hell, I got 6 chihuahuas. There ain't nothing easy going on over here, okay?
Problems, yeah.
I'm like, I clean up a lot of shit and piss during the day, okay? But it's like it's like things that would have just made me react in the past. I don't react to them, and I'm like, I mean, and like I said, I haven't even been sober a year, and I so that is one thing that I'm just so grateful for, and
Mm.
I've always liked to live in the present, but when you're adding in substances, you're really not like you're checked out half the time.
Yeah, and that's so great. That's such a great fucking point. And like I always thought when I was using that I'm like, well, this is putting me in the present because I'm like, I'm stoned right now, or I'm high, or I'm drunk on whatever, and I'm enjoying the moment when really like I was just trying to hide like my true emotions from what was truly happening, and I was trying to just hide myself from the present. And it's just like being present today for me is so important. Like, and it's sometimes it's so hard to do. Like, it's so hard for me to like put down everything and just be present with the people and the family around me. And it's just like, once again, like I'm not perfect. Like, it's all in a practice, but at least if I'm practicing and I'm trying to get to that spot and I'm trying to be a better person, like I'm accepting that I need to practice and I need to change and I need to like do more to be present, and it's like it's so true. It's like all the times that I used, it was so easy just to like I got so much stuff going on and there's all these things happening and like, oh, what am I going to do? I'm going to go get high or I'm going to go get drunk. And it's like that is not how I want to accept my reality today. And it's just like I feel like it's almost like a cop out, right? It's almost like I don't want to deal with what's going on, so I'm just gonna go like mask it and like put up the fence and just be like, I don't need to deal with my emotions today, and I don't need to deal with being present. Like I'll deal with it later, and then later it's like all this other stuff comes in, and all you got to deal with all this other shit, and it's just like meditating helps me be present so much, and it helps me really just like be in the moment. And it's like I think about these guys and monks and people who meditate, and it's just like that's a part of their life. And it's just like god damn, I want to be that peaceful. Like I want to be that serene at some point of my life. And that means getting rid of fucking everything. Like I might be okay with that in 10 years, like who fucking knows? I might be cool with living in a forest, like by myself, living in a big old thing of serenity. Like I'm cool with that. I don't want any more chaos in my life today.
Right. As Chris Farley would say, in a van down by the
The man down by the river. Exactly. That might be me here in like a couple of years. I don't know, man. It sounds pretty nice right now for sure. I'm gonna pull this because that sun is killing me. There we go. Oh man. All right, cool. Well, let's see. We got one more question here. So what would you say to men and women that are struggling with addiction today? Like what would you say to help them, or at least like if someone was listening in being like, what do I need to do to like go get help, or like how do I go get help today? What would you tell them, or what kind of suggestions or advice would you give them?
I would say don't try to do it on your own, number 1, because I feel like that just sets us up for failure. There's so many resources in your area, free resources. You always have AA meetings, you know, um, and if you are a female, I know a lot of times women aren't comfortable going in a room with men as well. So know that there's always women's meetings. If you don't want to go to a meeting in your area, you can find tons of meetings online. If you
Yeah.
feel that you need something more than that, then definitely seek out treatment, going to rehab.
It's no shame.
There's no shame in it. Honestly, it's so hard to ask for help of any,
Yes.
and I always look at it like not everybody in your circle of friends or your family is going to understand because maybe you've hid something for so long.
Mm,
But at the end of the day, like those people, if they're your people, they want to see you be healthy and happy, and they want to see you get past this.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a stigma around it, and it is the people that, that tend to judge are the ones that we think we're closest to. They don't get it. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
if you don't have people supporting you, then just let those people go. And it's just we have to realize too, like when we do get sober, the things that we do, the people that we're used to hanging around, like all of that's going to change, and it
Yes.
only changes for the better. But we have to realize that change doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to go to one meeting and all of a sudden be cured. I mean, and everybody's level of addiction is different, but if you do feel like it's very severe, that's where maybe seeking a medical detox, because it is scary to try to quit something depending on where you are in your path to try to do it on your own without
Mm.
medical assistance. So I think that's huge and that's something to acknowledge. But the fact that there's so many people out there rooting for you. And one of the things that I've always loved with recovery in general, and I've had you know, probably five relapses and, having to walk back in rooms and say, "I relapsed, I'm back again." I can tell you the one thing about the sober community, they're the most supportive community ever. You're never gonna
Yes.
walk into a meeting after a relapse and someone be like, "Oh, you fucked up again?" No, they're gonna be, "We're so happy you're here. We're so happy you're alive." And that's
Mm.
huge,
It
because
is.
we let our own ego trip us up where I'm like, I
Yes.
love that meeting, but I can't go back in there because I'm embarrassed. And
Mm.
nobody, I mean, in this community, we just want to see people be happy, healthy, and we want to see people stay alive because
Yeah.
I'm sure we've all lost someone to drugs or alcohol. And, there's nothing, I mean, it's sad, and it's sad that we all have the ability that we can change as well. And it's just, we need that guidance sometimes. And we need to know that we're supported. And we need to know that there's nothing embarrassing or shameful about it.
No.
Stigma, you know, it, it it's out there, but who cares? And I think the more that we can be open about it, then the more people relate to us. And I've noticed that, like, even over the years when teaching yoga, like I
Mm.
always joked about it. It's like, people come new to yoga and then they start going to Whole Foods and they drive a Prius and they drink green juice. And all of a sudden they're some fucking enlightened human being. And I'm like, you're just
Yeah, dude.
like the rest of us. We're all just here on the yoga mat. So we're not dicks to everybody at Home Goods. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. Yes, yeah, exactly. And it's,
But
for
it's
everyone listening who's struggling right now, whether you're sober, you're not sober, it's like I was always taught when I first started to get into recovery, like, I need to treat everyone like they are just 1 day sober, right? Like, I need to treat you like you have no clue what you're like, no, you're in a lot of pain and you just need some help. And so, like, I am here to help you. Like, there's a big sober community out there that is like more than willing to jump in with you head first and be like, dude, girl, whatever, I was right there with you. Like, I was right there where you were. And how did I get here today? Like, I went through a lot of pain and a lot of hardship and a lot of like other bullshit. But the thing is like, I didn't go back. I didn't go back and pick up a drink or a drug ever again because, like, like, yeah, it might be an option, but today for me, it's not an option because, like, I know what that looks like today. And, like, I don't want to go back to, like, going to jail. I don't want to go back to crashing cars. I don't want to go back to, like, almost being homeless. Like, and so it's just for a lot of people who are listening, if you're struggling, just know that there's thousands of people here to help you out. And, like, if you want to, like, hit me up on Instagram or hit Sheri up on Instagram or like reach out however you need to, but like, we are there to help you. And to, like, if you need a talk, even just to say like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to do it, just hit me up. Like, I would love to chat with you because, after I got sober, I really feel that, like, I'm on this earth to help some people. And I want to fucking, I want to go on the top of my roof and just be like, dude, sobriety. Like, are you having problems with your life? Try getting fucking sober. Because, like, for me, that changed everything. Once I got sober, my life stopped sucking. The only
yeah.
thing that really like kind of was a little rough was all the internal shit going on. But, through 12 step, I'm able to figure out that shit inside and work through it. And then also develop better healthy habits like going to the gym, and going to therapy and addressing problems in my relationships and doing all the things that I need to do that I would have never done when I was in active addiction, you know? And so, for everyone listening, yeah, if you need help, please just hit me up or please hit another sober person up like Sheri or anyone else that you see on this podcast because they would be more than happy to reach out and help you with whatever you're, going through. But well, unfortunately, that is all of the time we have. But did
But I
you have
wanted to
something else
say
to
one I
say?
wanted to
Yeah,
say one thing, and, like, the cool thing that I love about the sober community as well is that I do feel like we're some of the most creative people, like, you've got your brand, and
yeah,
even when I went to Recovery Unplugged, it was all about music and this and that, so people
yes,
wrote music and played music, and, like, I love to write poetry, it's like, so I'm gonna self-publish a book down the road, maybe in a year or whatever, but, it's
cool.
all, like, poetry from, like, an addict's brain, so
That's
but
awesome.
it's so cool, and when you get sober, there's just this whole creative outlet that's, I think, just jammed down, you know,
Yes.
but I've noticed that with the sober community, so I that's one thing I think is so cool, and a lot of us, are entrepreneurs, and, it's just,
Mhm.
I don't know, I just love that, the music element, the art element, the starting a business, just, I don't know, we
Yeah.
flourish, absolutely flourish, and it's amazing, so
Hell yeah.
thank
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheri. I really appreciate it. And yeah, be sure to go check Sheri out. She is at Live Free in Recovery on Instagram. Go check her out there. That's where her blog and her website and all sorts of other fun stuff is. Go give her a follow. The 2024 Freedom Drop is coming out very soon. I just did a photo shoot today, and yeah, photos are coming. The drop is coming so soon. So yeah, stay tuned. Check out www.thelastdropclothingco.com for that drop when it happens, addiction resources, and all of these other podcasts. So, well, thank you so much, Sheri. Again, I really, really appreciate it. It's so nice to meet you and talk with you and just kind of have a good conversation with you this afternoon. And I really appreciate you coming on.
Oh my God, I loved it. You are awesome. I'm so happy for you. I can't wait. If I had a hoodie, I mean, if I had a beanie cap of yours, I'd be wearing that because, like I said, I don't like to do my hair. So I'm
Very
ready for
fresh.
all the new drop. I'm ready for it all.
It's coming. It's coming. Hell
Thank
yeah.
you so much, my
Thank
friend.
you
It was
so
amazing.
much. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon, okay?
See you soon.